it's so funny whenever I talk to people about sleep. Like, if I asked you guys, name 5 things that you could do to improve your sleep that you're not doing, every single one of you could come up with 5 things that you know that you should be doing to improve the quality of the sleep that you're not doing. But when you realize what an impact that sleep makes on your health, more so than anybody could have imagined, you're going to see that that affecting our sleep and how our sleep affects us is going to make a huge difference in the quality of our life and in areas of our health that we never imagined. But everything from Alzheimer's disease to diabetes to cancer, your risk of all of these things goes up dramatically if you're not getting good quality sleep. So there's a saying that people have said where it's, I'll sleep when I'm dead. We've all heard that before. I had that mentality too earlier. I'm like, I'm just going to stay up late, get up early, drink a lot of coffee. I'm going to work hard, a couple hours extra time. I'm going to get more done, and I'll worry about sleep later on. But then you realize that it just literally destroys your health. So Matthew Walker, he's a PhD. He is one of the world's foremost leaders in sleep physiology. That's like everything that he studies is regarding quality of sleep. And he says there's no aspect of a human being's wellness that isn't eroded by lack of sleep. It's like a broken water pipe in your home that leaks into absolutely everything. So one of the things that he talked about from his research is that sleep may be one of the most significant lifestyle factors that determines your risk ratio for Alzheimer's disease. And so Alzheimer's disease is on a dramatic increase. Like everybody that we know somebody's suffering from dementia. And if you're familiar with Alzheimer's disease, there's actually been a lot of controversy over Alzheimer's disease as of lately. I don't know if anybody has kept up with that at all. But what people believe is the main cause of Alzheimer's disease was these things called amyloid plaques. Have you guys heard of that before? So a buildup of amyloid, almost like just like gum, like sticky tissue within the brain. And also tau proteins, which are these little proteins that are within the neurons. So amyloids are between the neurons. These tau tangles are within the neurons. And they found that a lot of these people that were suffering from Alzheimer's disease that died had a buildup of amyloid plaques. But when they started looking into it more, they would find people that had significant amyloid plaques when they did their autopsies, and didn't have any signs of dementia. And then other people that had less amyloid that had signs of dementia. And so they believe that amyloid plays a role in it, but it's not the ultimate causative agent or the end-all predictor of it. It's kind of like with cholesterol. You have certain people that have high cholesterol that develop no heart disease. Other people that have low cholesterol, that are on cholesterol medication, they have lower cholesterol, yet they develop heart disease. It doesn't mean that having high cholesterol is great for you. It just doesn't necessarily mean that having high cholesterol means that you're going to have heart disease necessarily. There's other factors that are involved. And so sleep is one of these things that can help mitigate the effects of a lot of that. We're going to go through, I have a tendency to skip around a little bit, but I'm covering stuff that's on the slide. So don't worry, we're not going to stay on this slide forever. But when it comes to, there's a thing in the brain called the glymphatic system. So when you sleep at night, this only happens when you're in deep sleep. When you're in deep sleep, you have something called the glymphatic system in your brain. So you guys have all heard of the lymphatic system, right? That kind of clears out the main part of your body. In your brain, you have a glymphatic system that when you go to sleep at night, your brain cleans itself out and it defrags itself. So we don't really do that on computers anymore, but you probably remember the old days with the computers where it would start to be slow and start to freeze, and you have to run it through a defrag where it would kind of clean out all the clutter and bring everything back together. That's like the glymphatic system in the brain, and it only happens when you're in the deeper levels of sleep. So they did this one study, not a very wonderful study for the rats, but they did a study where they woke up a rat each time it fell asleep. And it took 3 weeks to kill the rat by sleep deprivation. And if you watched one of my videos that we were using to promote this talk tonight, I talked about this guy, Baumgartner, who ended up going into the edge of outer space, wearing a full suit, oxygen mask and everything, and went skydiving, did a free fall from the edge of outer space. And they allowed that in the Guinness Book of World Records, but they've banned any kind of records relating to sleep deprivation now. Because a lot of the times, these competitions where it's like whoever can stay awake the longest wins X prize was causing irreversible damage to the brains of these people that were participating. And so it's really, really damaging to not get good quality sleep. This was a really cool study. This is actually really nice. Anyone that's been in the hospital, it's not a restful place to sleep. I remember when we were traveling through Cambodia, Jen had the pleasure of getting E. coli poisoning while we were in Siem Reap, and we ended up in one of the hospitals there. And the hospital was actually amazing, but it was the first time that we stayed overnight in a hospital. And I was thinking like she was in a nice room. It was a private room. I'm like, okay, this is good. We're going to be able to get some sleep. All night, there's lights coming through the windows. There's things beeping. Nurses are coming in every hour or two to check on her and check on things. And so it is not restful at all. And so in the NICU, they used to keep the lights on in the NICU. And what they started going from fluorescent lights to darkness, and babies had 50% better oxygen saturation and left the NICU 2 to 2.5 weeks earlier than they were before. That was the only change that they did. So it's really incredible.